For those of you who do, I've installed this up here. So feel free to come up and take a look at that, or look at the transcript on the left on the QR code afterwards. Any of you who raise your hand benefit from disability accommodations, whether or not you're actually disabled? Yes? Yeah. All right. And that includes myself. My name is Alex Cooper. I'm an organizer for Cypher 8, as well as the leader for the IEEE Young Prodigies program, and I'm currently organizing Queer Coding, William & Mary's first diversity-focused hackathon. I code for mental health and accessibility, and I'm a statistics and psychology major. And I, like many people, benefit from disability accommodations. As you've just seen, there's a lot of situations where everyone benefits from accessibility. But regardless of that, up to 27% of people in the United States, according to the CDC, have some sort of disability. In a more and more technologically focused world, it's really important for those people to be at the forefront of tech, especially because tech is oftentimes not accessible. And what better place to start than hackathons? So I'm here to tell you about how to act to make your hackathon more accessible. To act meaning making your hackathon adaptable, comprehensive, and transparent in its accessibility measures. So let's go through those one by one. First, let's talk about adaptability. Anyone who's organized a hackathon knows that there will be problems. This does not stop at accessibility. For example, I wanted this transcript to be immediately available, but because of the lack of internet, I couldn't, so I installed this app. So, when trying to be adaptable, you want to start early. Poll hackers on what kind of accommodations they might need or what accessibility concerns are relevant during registration. Also, when you're choosing your venue, try to choose one that is accessible as possible and understand fully any limitations it might have. You can do this by going through a step-by-step process of how you're going to do your hackathon, each step, and figuring out what might be a challenge. For example, is there a stage with stairs that hackers need to get onto? Is there a presentation component that requires verbal speech? And don't be afraid to use technological solutions. There's many tech solutions such as auto-captioning software and dyslexia-friendly fonts that are available to make your hackathon more accessible. Try not to make rigid activity plans that can't be changed or accommodated in some way. Also, try not to gatekeep accommodations. There are certain accommodations that are harder to get, of course, but things like required documentation for disability can make it kind of a living nightmare for disabled people to try to be included without bringing their papers everywhere. Also, try not to separate people by ability because it can come off as very alienating to people with accessibility needs. The next step is comprehensiveness. Adapting is great, but you want to try to be accessible on all levels. Try to consult people who have experience with accessibility. Many colleges have affinity groups for disabled students or neurodivergent action networks. Many workplaces have HR departments, and many schools have accommodations offices that would be happy to work with you. Also try to consider health and safety needs. Public health has been much more open to the public eye since the pandemic, but it's still especially important, even as the pandemic continues on, for disabled people to have the most healthy and sanitized space as possible. Also check if you often ignore things like your website's layout, and try to include self-care in your hackathon. While it may seem counterintuitive, it's important for people to be able to step away from tech, especially those with sensory needs. Don't rely solely on ADA guidelines. While they're a very good start, they don't always cover every aspect of accessibility. Also, don't try to categorize by physical or mental disabilities. It's great if your hackathon, for example, has a sensory room where people can recharge, but is that sensory room wheelchair friendly? Also, don't give up immediately if there is a way that an accommodation can't be done. Putting in effort shows that you're willing to be inclusive. So having a comprehensive hackathon, again, is great. But in a very inaccessible world, many people with accessibility needs don't realize that you're a vented state for them to go to. That's why transparency is so crucial. To be transparent, and on your hackathon's FAQ. Also clarify the limitations of your venue and your team, so if something is inaccessible, people know about it. It's better to be knowledgeable than show up and be unprepared for an accessibility concern. Also try to contact hackers initially to understand how to best accommodate them. And try to do this once they register and indicate an accessibility concern. It shouldn't be a hacker's responsibility to figure out how they can be included. Please also don't hide your accessibility needs and basic needs behind jokes or excessive figures of speech. While jokes are great, accessibility is not a joke. And seeing something on your FAQ like, "No, you're not allowed to sleep," wink wink, is really concerning because seeing, first of all, neurodivergence often leads to taking things literally, so it can be difficult for people to figure out whether something is accessible. And there's nothing worse than getting to a hackathon and realizing it's actually a saw trap where either you have to find a ride home or stay in 36 hours without a basic need being met. That being said, try not to leave out self-care or basic needs for hackers. Make food and sleep available, but also let people know if they're not. Finally, by acting, try to embrace the hacker spirit. Hackathons are innovative, they're problem-solving, and they're inclusive by nature. Trying to embody that will get you really far. Making sure we act as a community, both act in the literal sense and in the accessibility sense, will make sure that everyone can hack together and continue solving problems for everyone. Thank you so much. As always, the transcript is available. And